welcome back. Hopefully my mic is still working. I really do hope it's still working. But regardless, we will be continuing our adventure in the bunker, and I'll actually be going to areas that more deeper explain, what's going on. I'll just give a short summary of the last video, which is being recorded immediately after the video that I just did. So this is back to back. Right here is the medical office where Henri wakes up from this bed. Gets up after his little lucid sequence, yada yada yada. We go here, we open this door right here, and we find our note. Basically talking about what happened. Going down through here, I'm pretty sure that in there talks about like a flashlight or something, I can't quite remember. And then in here is where we find one or two notes pertaining to the burning of bodies and Hubert. Not Hubert, Reynard. Over here, in this area, no real notes, but we do meet the third person, I guess, living in this bunker other than us and formerly Toussaint. Some injured dude that we don't know the name of. He hands us the pistol if we decide to have the pistol on, because you can actually, in the difficulties and options for the game, you can decide to have the pistol locked up in a locker, or well, revolver. And what that essentially does is that guy is no longer there and he is just kind of gone. These right here are the rats that I was referring to, and as you can tell, they are really, really big. They are massive. And all these bodies I've already burned for the sake of, making sure nothing scary happens. This right here is a grate that we can open with our handy-dandy wrench, which you must do twice. You get one nut off, you get the other nut off. In the notes, it mentions that we should not use glass bottles to hold the fuel as they are fragile. This right here is depending on what difficulty you're playing on and how fuel not conservative you are. There is a lot of bottles in here, which are for the explicit use of running, as I will show you. All the way over. Oh yeah, speaking of, if you remember last video, I had mentioned something about, there was a note about a guy hiding in a hole to hide from the beast. This is probably the note that it was referring to, because there's a note right outside this hole. But continuing, up here, in fuel storage, not right here, this is the fuel storage. This is where you get all your fuel from once you run out of it in the bunker. Over here, up into this section of the bunker, will lead to the pillbox, where Foreman Stafford tried to actually run to escape the beast. However, as said, there's a German sniper up here who essentially took out an eye and a brain. Of course, I burned his body, so you can't really tell, but his eye is, well, you can still kind of tell. But standing up real quick, because, ooh, look at me, I'm a French soldier, oh my gosh, ooh, look at me, I'm French. So far, he's had actually really big trouble with shooting me for some reason. I'm listening for the crack of his rifle. But yeah, this is the outside no man's land, I suppose you could call it. I guess he will not shoot at me today. Yeah, it's the bunker, or the pillbox, where Foreman Stafford is, as you saw his body. And then over here, we actually find the chapel, where Lambert has been praying and such. It's also where the beast has decided to make its lair. There are many holes leading here. And once we go inside, the chapel is thoughtfully redecorated by our great friend Lambert. Everyone here is deeply just completely torn apart. However, the interesting part, which is actually a reason I wanted to walk in here, was I want to count just how many bodies are in here again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, then 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35, 46. If I am correct, there's about 36 people in the bunker, including Henri and Lambert. There's also the priest right here, which I would like to actually, not priest, chaplain, that I would like to actually make note of. I would like to show off how out of everyone here, he has by far the least gruesome death of everyone in the bunker. My assumption is that just like with the rabbit toy, Lambert has the recollection of everyone in the bunker. These soldiers probably did not matter to him. They didn't really have a deep emotional bond with him. As in World War I, it's very common just to have continuous cycles of different soldiers because people keep dying. The chaplain, however, is probably different. The chaplain is a very special person to Lambert, as he is the only one who really looked at him with any true kindness and understanding of what he was going. Actually, no, I'm speaking of Henri, but I like to believe the same, that he was looking at Lambert with a concern, like, yeah, your buddy will be fine, your buddy will be okay. Which is why I believe that he got the quickest death, as Lambert didn't really have any true reason to be, ill toward him, or to be violent. He made his death as quick as he could, because after all, from what we know, there is still sentience within harvesters. They still talk, they still react. Lambert is far different, because unlike harvesters like Leon from Rebirth, he can't exactly resist. He has to kill, he has to fight, he has to do it. But now that we're here, actually, because I'm looking for grenades, I'll be honest with you. Because I want to attract Lambert over here. Trying to get his attention so I can use the rabbit. If I throw the rabbit, he'll actually ignore me, and he will go to the rabbit. He will sit down, grab the rabbit and put it into his trousers. After looking at it for a bit, he'll go away. If you notice on his model, he seems to have a spike on his back. 2 spikes, actually. That is because Lambert has 2 officers' swords in his chest. 2 officers had probably tried to attack him with swords and lost, obviously. But now with Lambert forced away, we will go to the chapel, in which I'm not sure if it spawns there or how it works. It's not here. It's not here. It's not here. I assume if I leave the area and then reload, it will appear there. But essentially what happens with that rabbit is that thankfully, it is not a one-time use. What will happen is he will take it and he will immediately stop all aggression toward you. Now, I will say this, do not mistake that for him immediately losing aggro. What happens is that he will simply leave the area and leave you alone. That does not, however, come with the same cooldown as you would get if you had harmed him. You can see him breathing. I shot him right in the face. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting him to be right there. Now that we reloaded, he should have put the bunny toy over here. Yeah. So right here, whenever we use the bunny toy, we can always come back and get it. We can always get the bunny toy, which is very good, as this is... Because whilst it's good, it's also an extreme hassle to have to go back and get. Because, oh yeah, great, we made him leave us alone and run away. But then you kind of remember, oh wow, now I have to... Because the rabbit is probably your best bet to use in a, what I like to call a no-gen run, which is essentially... Or no gen run. I'm trying to sound like a speedrunner or something. Cause I'm so cringe. I'm cringe, and that's okay. But anyway, the rabbit is really good for being in the dark on harder difficulties, because on harder difficulties, especially if you do what I did, which was and I wanted to record it and stuff, but I just don't have the consistent following or people who want to watch the game live to do it, in which I would live stream the game live until I beat it or until I, you know, ran out of time, because I'm a busy person. I have a life. In which I would play the game as on the hardest difficulty I could do. Of course, there were certain things that I did not do, such as fuses and whatever, because I played the game by myself just to see, like, am I even good enough to do that? Trick question, yes. I also, for the live stream, I actually have a speedrun strat. Haha, funny. So right here, my friend Ezekiel insists that the people, like, on, like, speedrunner sites, it's like, oh, it's a glitch, it wasn't intended, but it's just, like... Right here, if you just press up against the bars, I know he's stepping on it and stuff, but if you just get right up against the bars and crouch, which, look at this, I'm not phasing, I'm not glitching, I'm not doing anything, right? You can actually reach the dynamite from right here, and that actually stops you from having to go all the way around. It is a very big time saver. That's where you get the dynamite from, by the way. But now, we go to the tunnels, where we see what the insanity was about. As down the tunnels is where all this started. You can also see the crater. I quite like that Henri has the thing that, what's his name? Daniel has from Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which is that his eyes get better in the dark. So, yeah. However, I will say this right now. Really loud water. Yikes. But essentially, yeah, right here. This is some notes we get from Toussaint and stuff. Toussaint, essentially believing that his eyes were the problem, removed them, as you can see, with... I'm genuinely not sure what this would even be for. I'm not a tool guy, so maybe one of y'all can tell me. He removed his eyes with that. And right over here leads into the Roman tunnels. This haunted little abyss. Which I believe right here, actually, yeah, that... I didn't notice this before, but that's actually where you get the detonator right there, so they actually show it off to you, and I did not know that, actually, I'll be honest. I wasn't aware that it showed you where the detonator was off the rip. I learn something every time I play. But yeah, now down in the dark tunnels of supposedly Roman or Latinate origin, we can see shadows, ghosts and such, which are used to distract the player occasionally. As some of these shadows look like people, or better yet, the shotgunner as he's called, or Toussaint. Other shadows look like Harvester. Is his dead body still down here? Maybe I can go find his body real quick. So, dead guy, not Toussaint, but it's very fresh. This right here is Toussaint. Oh, that's funky. You have a shotgun model and a shotgun on the floor. But yeah, this is Toussaint, or the shotgunner as the game calls him. He is a blind enemy, which you understand his gimmick. Everything down here shatters. Everything down here makes a noise. What was that? What's over there? Oh. You know how the gimmick goes. I blew his brains clean out with a shotgun. But yeah, there. The model is Toussaint's. It is to distract the player. And right there, hulking in the shadow, which is very hard to see, I admit, are the shadows of harvesters and those floating guys that I admittedly don't know the names of. Harvesters or ghouls, which are the tall, lanky, spindly dudes. And the floating guys, which I think are referred to as Jinn. Or, you know, genies and stuff of that nature. I don't know. You get an achievement for actually firing at these shadows. Yeah, you can also, fun fact, you can actually pop the achievement as well. Harvester shadow right there. I think what was just in front of me was one of those floating guys, but you can actually pop the achievement by shooting at the shadows with your shotgun, I believe. Or, how I got it, funnily enough, Toussaint shooting around, if he shoots at where a shadow is, which is something you have to cause, it will actually give you the achievement. But now, we go to the final part of this video before I decide to go beat the game again for the ha-has and the funnies. Because, dude, I have been doing literally nothing but replaying this game. As you can see, it is daytime. This is the same crater that we save Lambert from at the beginning of the game. So close yet so far from freedom. We can find this odd liquid, which is, you know, water with volumes of vitae, and these weird floating rocks. I'm not really sure what their whole deal is, but, you know. This is the this is the flask that we gave Bro to drink. We find his things here, and we find his rabbit toy right there. But this is nearly outside. We're right there, and it would have been absolutely amazing if we could escape without a hitch. The same crater that Henry saved Lambert from was the very same crater near where Lambert saved Henry from the Germans. But now, finally, I would like to get to the part of the video that we've all probably been waiting for, and that's whether or not I'm going to leave this save completely unfinished. Harvester, harvester! Walking to sod. Sorry. I quite like the gimmick of this area, as the walking and such was meant to throw you off. The constant footsteps made it sound like you were just surrounded on all sides and made it very hard my first time around to figure out where Toussaint was. Thankfully, however, his footsteps are much more distinct than the shadows. I find it quite odd that no one in the notes noted these giant jagged rocks, in which, who knows, maybe these weren't here before, because in all honesty, if I were an officer and I saw these floating rocks and stuff, I think I'd have to agree with the men that we had to blow the tunnels closed, which leads me to believe that these tunnels didn't exist. As a matter of fact, this is something akin to the portals we saw in Rebirth being kind of finicky. These are not Roman tunnels, but rather they are Zerzuran tunnels. If you don't know what Zerzura is, Zerzura, I don't know how to say it, I'm kind of just messing it up right now, I guess, is the place that the Empress, first of her name or something like that, rules. And how she would collect all her vitae, or get what she wants, is she would attract people in dire straits in the desert by making them crash or pulling them into her world. I don't know, it's a lot of, like, medieval alchemy, sci-fi mumbo-jumbo that I don't fully understand. But now, let's get to the part that I think everyone has been waiting for. But before I do, I guess I could do the nature of mentioning that, yes, you have been seeing that I have the gas mask. This comes from Laval, which isn't really important. You never really need to use the gas mask, as Lambert is, to be in all honesty, never really punching a gas pipe unless you're next to it, or you vice versa. I guess it could be good if you have a bunch of gas grenades on you and need to get past him without him really being able to get near you, but it doesn't do much. So now I'm going to be quiet and hope I do this first try and not look like an idiot and get this over with. And right here is what I was referring to. This is all Zerzuran architecture. This arena, as they would call it, is where they held their blood rituals and stuff. Down below is a portal directly to Zerzura. I believe it is Zerzura anyway. We see Lambert. Now the trap is set. Lambert is now dead, and we can leave. Now, mind you, there are two endings to this game where we can actually avoid killing Lambert and use stones to build up out of here. But that was much faster, and I believe it is the intended ending of the game that he dies. There is a kill scene that we can see that I don't really care for. So let's us escape for one last time and finally close curtains on Amnesia the Bunker.